Oh boy, you know, there comes a time when you must decide that you are a selfish little brat and that if you want to talk into a microphone, you might as well do it whenever you please. Now, this was me already. I could do it whenever I please, but I couldn't always put it out into the internet. Sure, I would only have to wait like a day, right? Just a day. It felt like forever. It really did. And so now you get to listen to me and enjoy probably a still image, right? Some random still image that I'll find on the internet to symbolize everything that's currently happening inside of my head. So probably just blank slate with a random black dot to avoid, that not being a picture. I It's really weird. Everything is weird. Black dots are weird. You ever thought about what is a dot? A dot is nothing. If something is infinitely small, isn't it actually equal to zero? In fact, in mathematics, uh, point and then an infinite amount of nines is mathematically equal to okay, so 2.999999 infinitely, and this infinitely is actually equal to 3. Mathematically, it's equal to 3. 2.8769999999 is actually just 2.877. And this is interesting because there's a difference, right? There's a difference, but it's infinitely small, and therefore it's worth zero. But what if we transfer this to geometry? Well, it doesn't work the same, right? Because a dot, a point, it's infinitely small to the point of being non-existent, but it exists. So it's not, you can't draw a dot. You can draw a circle. It's going to be a very small circle, but it's a circle. You cannot draw a point. A point cannot be visualized in its true form, how it's intended to function, because it's just empty space. So a point isn't visualized by its noun, but rather it's not a noun. Point. It's an adjective. It's a description. It's a description of a certain place on a certain wider place, and that description is according to sets of rules that are known about the point and the place where it's in, and they're known because some people agreed on them. That's weird. That's weird because it's supposed to be the dot, the point. It's supposed to be a sort of, a founding place for quite a lot of things. But if it itself is founded upon other things, and you can throw this all the way down to the very basics, like imagine if our only axiom for the world was that babies drank milk. Well, if you found at least one baby who doesn't drink milk, bam, your whole world order, your whole perspective of the workings of our great universe are suddenly gone. This happened to me with the dot. It just so happened. It just does. Okay? There's no way to avoid it, really, either. It just will happen at some point. There's other things that are unavoidable, like the fact that however hard I try, I cannot get myself to be in the correct state of mind currently to do this in a very energetic way. I'm talking, and it's a bit monotone, it's a bit boring, it's a bit, it's a bit gray. It's because I'm not very energetic. So how do you get yourself to be energetic? Well, you have to get a lightning rod. No, I'm not talking about those lightning redirectors. You see, for that you need lightning. No, you have to go to the high mountains of the northwestern tribe of the indigenous peoples of North America. Uh, you must go onto their highest mound of shit. And there you must stay without food or water in cross-legged position for a couple of days. And then you get enlightened and realize that you can forget about all of the troubles of the world because all you have is yourself and the mound of shit you are sitting on. By becoming a point, you, infinitely small, insignificant, and nobody really knows what you are, on a mound of shit, which is infinitely expansive and everybody knows what it is, and it's super massive and dope, and in comparison to you, it's infinite. By realizing you are a human point on a plane of shit, you unlock the lightning rod, okay? God, Christian God, comes down to you from the skies and gives you a stick, like when you found in your backyard and thought it was a sword and did the swooshy swooshy. Well, he gives you that stick, okay? And he says this is a lightning rod. Now that you've realized you're insignificant and you've just been given a new attribute, you're like, well, this has doubled my worth. And since it's zero, it's done nothing. The lightning rod is nothing, but nothing in comparison to nothing is equality. It's doubled your nothing into an equal amount of nothing, which means it's just wasted infinite power for zero capacity. This is the worst rod you have ever seen. Yet you take it. Why? Because it was given to you by Christian God. So now that you have your lightning rod, you can go on plenty of adventures. Okay, first of all, you can fuel your time machine. Go back and kill a slug, then return to the present day. You can do more interesting stuff like charge your Tesla car. Okay? If you have a Tesla, you can charge it. If you don't have a Tesla, you can go on another adventure. You can become a wizard, but that's too basic, and you are not a basic bitch. You are less significant than that. So what you do is you gain self-worth through not through monetary gain, because remember that's materialistic. We can't have materialism for the lightning wielder. And then you gain wealth by people saying to you that you're good. So you gain more attributes. So the point is to do good things or bad things with your lightning rod. So you have your zoomy rod, and you go the zoom zoom, and people give you attributes. This is how a personality is formed, okay? You are now not just an insignificant dot that nobody cares about. You are now an insignificant dot that somebody once cared about, maybe even a ton of people at some point in their lives all cared about you. This is great because now you have the illusion that you've done something good in your life. And that illusion helps you keep living and doing more good. I have a very full nose of snot and some tissues, so I'm gonna quickly, and it's not like I can stop the recording or something for you not to have to endure me doing this waiting thing and blowing snot into a tissue, but this is actually all a metaphor. You know why? Because this tissue paper, can you hear that rustling? That's tissue paper. And my snot, I'm not gonna make a sound for the snot, is a point on the infinite waste that is tissue paper. Okay, so when I do, when I blow my nose, I'm actually creating a point on the tissue paper. Now, what's interesting is that if the tissue paper was small, the point would be the same, and in relation to the paper, it would still be infinitely small. So if we had a dual system of just the paper, and the snot, then we would have a system in which the paper could be whatever size it wants. If the point was infinitely small, then the paper would seem to it infinitely large. But what if the paper was instead small, no, infinitely large, and the point could be any size. So really, as long as you have one infinity in the equation, the other one is also an infinity. So this carries over to humans. Imagine you have your infinite lightning rod of good doing. If it's infinite, then in comparison to it, you are small, very small. You're infinitely small, actually, in stature. I mean that the rod is huge. Like, you cannot measure how large your rod is, okay? But that doesn't seem feasible. So let's say it does an infinite amount of good. Why? Because you can't measure the possible good it can do, because we don't have a measurement for good. So let's create one. China apparently has a merit system. I think this is the perfect way to measure how much good a person does in their lives, because in the merit system you usually go down from where you start from as a baby. This is completely true for every person. So if we say our lightning rod has an average merit of 100 gajillion, and you can maybe amass a maximum of like 2,000 points if you're really dope, then are you reliant on your rod to be dope, or are you dope because you've made the rod do the good doing? Now, here's the thing, is the potential of anything what gives it value? Or is it the person who who allows that potential to happen that is the good doer? Well, I think it's the object, but not when it just has potential. The object is the good doer as long as somebody is allowing its potential to shine. So, the only reason you would help somebody else is because you care about everyone. You're not doing it because of self-worth. You aren't going to be given anything because it's the lightning rod that matters. You are a worthless point on the endless mound of shit. You are not the lightning rod. So that's why Christian God came down and taught you a lesson. Why? Because he wanted you to understand this simple idea that you are worthless, yet anything you put your hand to, it's suddenly really good. Okay? But that's amazing. Why, you ask? Is it amazing? Well, I'm glad you asked. That's amazing because I said so, and everything I say is great, and you must follow it. Okay, good? Good. So let's say we have our lightning rod and it hits a man in the head with lightning. Well, what do you do then? You haven't committed murder because you're worthless. The lightning rod has. But you don't want to send the lightning rod to prison because it has an infinite amount of potential for good. So, what you actually do is you say that that must have been good since its potential for infinite good could only have been unlocked by you, and an intention to do so since you are worthless. It was only the rod, and since it only has potential for good, that must have been good to kill that man. Now, it doesn't matter that killing that man sends the world into collapse. Say you killed the person who runs the Illuminati and suddenly the world falls into anarchy. Well, that means anarchy is good. We've now switched positions. It used to be that the infinite potential for good of the rod was decided by what was supposed to be good in the world. But since it's infinite, it had so much fucking magnitude that when it did a thing that was against the rules of the world's good, since it was infinitely good, that means that the rules change. So now it's actually become the axiom. And here's what I was leading to from the very beginning. The point is an axiom for a reason. In all of its worthlessness, in everything it cannot do, it is so basic, it is so uniform, it cannot be changed. It can be attributed to, it can be moved around, but it will not change. This goes the same for anything that's infinitely big or infinitely large or has an infinite potential positive or negative, not just infinitely zero. Well, that also is an axiom. And why is it an axiom? Because it can change. Say you have a point. You can't change that point. That point's going to stay that point until forever. That's why it's an axiom. That rod, that lightning rod, will stay a lightning rod that does only good and infinite amounts of it forever. So, what I'm trying to say is that while you might be worthless, that makes you the most important person that there is. Thank you for listening.